Hello, hello. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hey, welcome to the stream. So just gonna wait a little bit, see if everything's working. Hopefully, everyone can hear me and see me okay. Um, so hey, Sin, how's it going? So, like I mentioned in my post, and hopefully what's showing in the uh my words today in the description down below. I'm going to be doing posing tests today. I figured I'd take a break from the raptor animation just to kind of refresh my eye a little bit for it, and just to give it a little bit more variety instead of just rehashing the same animation over and over again. So today, the main thing I kind of wanted to do was facial poses, because facial poses are something that I see a lot of people struggle with sometimes, um, especially when you get to a really complicated rig like Jules or Aya or pretty much any feature film ready character rig. There's a lot of little details that have to be taken into account, and it can be very daunting. So I kind of just wanted to show my breakdown of ways I typically approach facial poses. Now, if you want, later on, we could move to actual full body poses just to have fun with that. But we'll kind of just start out with facial poses. And as usual, if anyone does have any questions or just wants to chat, feel free to do that. I'm always happy to just answer questions or just chat about anything. So I think we'll just jump right into it here. So this is the scene that I have so far. All I've done is I've created a shot camera right over here so that we can get a nice close-up of the face while we're working on it. This is, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the Jules rig. He's part of the AM rig set, and he is basically a feature film ready rig. He has most of the controls that you'd find in a feature film, and at the moment, all of his facial controls are turned off just for simplicity's sake, but we'll be turning that on shortly. Just a few notes of whenever I'm doing facial poses. Facial poses, just practice, is something I like to do every once in a while, just to kind of avoid becoming complacent with facial poses. I don't like the idea of my work being just like, oh, I need to make a character smile. Corner of the mouth. I'm done. When I do facial poses, I want to really think about them, really put effort and thought into what this character is feeling and thinking at this time. Not just happy, sad, but the deeper thought process of it. So the way I set this up here is I have the rig set up, and I set a key on all of his facial controls on frame 1. And then with the grease pencil tool, I just wrote out the pose here, neutral. That way I always know which frame I'm on, and if I start making more poses, I'm not accidentally going to lose that neutral pose. This is basically a way for me to always go back to the base and make a new pose from there, because we'll probably be making a few different poses today. So we've got the neutral pose here, and then we've got our work camera over here. Now this is a custom Jules mod that I've created. By default, you'll notice that there's not too much different with him, but just to kind of show you the differences, it's very slight. But if I turn the textures on and everything, you'll notice that he's got shines in his eyes right here. These are something that I've created myself and rigged in here myself. So if I turn on his facial controls, you'll see those are the facial controls of the rig. There's a lot of them, and we can simplify the facial controls, but in general, this is the base facial controls. Lots and lots of things. Hey Greg, how's it going? So by default with the eyes, we have these eye controls here that allow us to position the eyes. And it kind of looks weird when we do that. But then I've also added in, and this is again something I custom added into this rig, shine controls here, where I can actually move the shine for the eyes. So I can get this very specific shine if I want on the eyes there. Kind of give it more of a 2D look to it. So I just wanted to bring that up because these are not part of the base rig. This is something I added in. So let's turn those off for now. So when posing a rig or a face, a lot of the first things you need to do is figure out what pose you want to do. So I was thinking of maybe keeping it open to what you guys want to do. Maybe take suggestions from you and then pose it out. That way it's my, or shows the process of working on something that I haven't already planned in advance. So if there's a facial pose that you want to see, like happy, sad, anger, or something even more detailed with a thought process behind it, definitely let me know. I'd love to have that kind of back and forth on here and just take suggestions from everyone. But for now, let me just, I'll just kind of show this. This is the GUI picker for Jules. So this will allow me to very quickly select all the controls on his face, like so, and set keys without having to always select them all manually. And I think I'm also going to key his body controls as well, just so I can add a little bit of body motion into the pose and not just keep him dead from the neck down. Okay. So with this, I think we're pretty much ready. So if anyone has suggestions, let me know. I would love to hear what everyone would like to see for the very first pose. So give the chat a little, or the stream a little time to catch up because of the lag. I think I timed it. I think the lag's about 10 seconds ish. It's actually quite a lot. So if someone has a facial expression, just let me know. Overconfident smile. Ooh, I like that one. So it's not a genuine smile, but it's overconfident. Now, overconfident can have a lot of different meanings. In most cases, an overconfident smile is just like cocky and he's full of himself. But overconfident could also be he's what's the right word I'm looking for? He's putting on a face to make it seem like he's confident. And again, that comes down to the mentality. You can be overconfident on the outside, but totally scared and unsure in the inside. And that can really add a layered approach to a smile there. But we'll go with just kind of a overconfident, cocky smile. So one thing that can be helpful when you're posing things out is to just have some ooh, that'd be interesting. Maybe we'll try to do some variations of that. So a few things that can be helpful when you're posing out faces. One, have Google open and search for the expressions that you're looking for. That can be very helpful in just getting an idea of what to aim for. So for example, if I just I'm not going to bring it up on screen because one thing with Google is you never know what's going to come up, and I don't want to Google something and then have horrors appear on screen. So just have Google open, search for the facial expression you want. Now, another thing you can have is a mirror, or in this case, a webcam. So I've got my webcam right here. If I need to get reference, I can smile. I can look sad. I can do all the facial expressions right here. And usually when I'm working, I have a mirror right next to me. That way, if ever I need like a quick reference, I can just take a look at it right there and see how my face reacts. So that is a very, very handy thing when you're working with facial animation. So I've got all of that ready. Let's just kind of jump in here. So we want to have an overconfident smile. Let me actually turn off his render texture there so it'll run a little faster. Okay. So to start with, we have to pick where do we begin. And that's kind of the tricky part. A lot of people, or there's kind of different ways people like to start. A lot of people like to start with the eyes because those are the base of the face. Some people start with the mouth. You can start with the line of action of the face as well. Now, the line of action of the face is something people don't tend to think about when they first get started. The face, just like the body, can have a line of action. And by default, if you look at Jules right here, and this goes with any rig, they have no line of action. Their face is perfectly straight, symmetrical. If I was to draw lines over his face here, you can see that, oops, there you go. Straight, straight, straight. It's boring. Now, for some reason, my grease pencil tool is not working well today. But we can push that. We can make the face a little bit more interesting by pushing the line of action. And that's one of the things I'll be doing here. So let's just jump right in here and get that smile going. So I'll start with the corner of the mouth here. And let's really push that cheesy grin that I can do it. There's nothing that can stop me. I'm the best. So one thing you'll notice that I'm doing is I'm animating to camera. So the facial expression from certain angles is going to look terrible. But what I'm most interested in is how it looks from this specific camera angle here. This is just something that will happen with facial expressions. So let's start with the mouth, and you'll see that right away I pushed one side much more than the other. One of the things that really make facial poses dead is when they're symmetrical. So even when I'm smiling, for example, you'll notice that this corner of my mouth goes up higher. This is just genetics. When I smile, that side automatically goes up. When I raise my eyebrows, now I'm looking at the camera and it's mirrored, but this eyebrow tends to go up higher than that one, typically. Now, I can raise both individually, which some people can't do. But by default, one's going to have a favor over the other. So always try to favor a part of the face. It's going to just kind of give more life to the character. So we've got that. So there, let's take his bottom lip, kind of open it up. It's a little creepy right now, but that's fine. And it's always better to overdo things with facial animation, especially when you're first starting out, just to kind of get the expression of the face in there a little bit more easily. So let's just get the basic structure in here. So I want kind of a cheesy, like, yeah, I can do it grin. And let's see. They've got the mouth will be open, eyebrows are going to be like that, and let's see. Move the jaw a little bit. This is something a lot of people don't do when they first get started, is you can rotate the jaw around. Now, our jaw by default does not rotate like this. This is actually breaking the jaw. But this, just adding a little bit in here, can help to push that line of action in the face. Let's kind of give him an underbite there, like yeah, just a little bit, not too much. Underbites can look really weird really quickly. I can't help but laugh when I mess around with the facial controls on a rig. Yeah, exactly. Especially when you first get started, it takes a while for the face to kind of come in as a whole, and it's these early phases here where like the brows are still perfectly straight but asymmetrical. The eyes are wide open. It's just, you get these weird results here. So let's get the brows kind of working first of all. So let's see. This control, I want to kind of shape that brow. And let's shape this one up here. So already you can see how that, by shaping both brows, we're starting to get that more dynamic expression. So maybe like that. And when I'm working on the brow, one thing I'm doing is I'm trying to imagine the line of action going through the brow. Now, for some reason, my grease pencil tool does not want to work with me. I do not know why. So I'm trying to think of the line of action in that brow and make it flow. Our brows tend to have a flow between them. So for example, if you have, my drawing tool does not work in here. But one thing I should do before I forget, let me add over confident, like that. Now I can easily see which one's which. But the brow, when you're working with the brow and the eyes in general, it's nice to think of an eye mask. So if you have an eye here, eye there, and then the brows, try to imagine a mask that goes around the eyes, like so. And what that helps with is you want to keep a flow with this mask. So for example, my drawing program just froze on me. Let's see. Oh, okay, what happened there? My computer just does not like me today. So for example, if I want to scrunch the face down, I can scrunch that side down and still keep that mask connected like so, and keep that flow. So the brow would be here, maybe like that, and then the eye would also kind of scrunch down, and this one could stretch out a little bit more. But it helps to create more dynamic facial expressions if you imagine that kind of mask there, and move things together in that sense. So I'm just going to try and push this. And again, as you're doing facial expressions, don't be afraid of pushing things much further than you would assume. So for example, if I take this brow down here, that might feel broken at the moment, but I would rather push it here first and then have to reduce it compared to not pushing it nearly far enough. Okay, so he still looks very creepy because his eyes are super open. let's bring those down. So let's bring his eyelid down here. And already that helps a lot. Just kind of closing that eyelid. By default, when our eyelids are at their resting state, they kind of rest over the pupil, like so. So the eyelid just kind of sits on top of the pupil. Having the eye, especially so that you can see the white above the eye, that gives crazy eyes. So something like this. And already that's helping a lot. So let's kind of bring the lower lids up a little bit. Like that. Now I'm going to shape the eyelids in a little bit because eyelids need very specific shaping when you're working with them. But for now, let's just keep it at that. Open that a little bit more. Okay, so we've got that. Let's see. Let's go back down to the mouth for just a little bit. And what I want to do is I just want to push the mouth shape. So once you have the main mouth, a lot of people will just kind of move the corners of the mouth, but then they won't shape it afterwards. And it's not that you always have to, but you're missing out on a very big detail that you can add to your shot, which is dynamic mouth shapes. And I've got all these little controls here that I can use to shape the mouth very specifically. So let me control these ones, kind of control whole sides of it, but then you've got these little red ones that can control the overall shape. So I can really just kind of give that more exaggerated smile in here. And at the moment we're seeing a lot of gum. Again, it's all part of that getting into the creepy phase before getting the mouth in a good position here. And I'm going to close this up just a little bit more. And another thing you have is, I believe it's this control here, where you can move the mouth without the teeth. This is nice to just kind of push the mouth over a little bit. And I'm going to just bring it a little over, like so, like that. And let's bring this corner up just a little bit more. And let's take this top lip and make it a little straighter. I want to push that straight line in the lip there. And bring this back a little bit. Now it's going to be a little too far here, but that's fine. That already helps when you don't see the bottom gum. But we can see just how much of a difference that made by pushing the actual shape of the mouth. And you'll see from the front, or from this side especially, he is not looking good. Let's see. So, overconfident. Let's do the eyes. So, eyelid controls. There's a lot of them. Now, they're going to be a little hidden in here. If ever you get controls that are hidden and you can't quite see them, this is where the GUI picker becomes very useful. Or another technique that you can use is I'm going to tear off a copy of this screen here. Then I'm just going to turn off everything and show only NURBS curves. And this basically allows me to see just the controls. And I'll make this a little smaller here. Like so. But with this screen, I can now select the different controls that I wouldn't normally be able to see. So let's start with these ones are brow. This is eyelid. Then this is upper lid there. Okay. So I personally prefer using the GUI picker. I just find it a little easier to use. So we'll bring that in there. Okay. So let's do the eye first. Now, when shaping the eye, what's important to keep in mind is that our eye isn't a sphere. It's got a bump in the middle, and I'm gonna show it just exactly what I mean by that in just a second here. But let me shape this eye and get a little bit more of a dynamic shape in there. Now I want the eyelid to feel like it's being affected by the brow, so I'm not just gonna shape it up normally in that kind of clean arc shape. I want it to come down slightly, especially with the brow coming down. I want to create the feeling of sympathetic motion. Sympathetic motion is when part of the body is affected by something else. Let's raise the corner of the eye there. Kind of make him a little bit more, less sad looking. So sympathetic motion happens all over the body. And it's just when part of the body is affected by something else. And it's very important to try and keep that in our character as much as we can. If body parts move without affecting each other, it feels very strange. Okay, we'll stick with that for this eye. Now, one thing I do want to do is take these other controls, they're kind of hard to spot, and bring this down. This is the skin above the eyelid. And I don't want to forget about this because as you close your brow, that skin has to come down. Like so, and start to cover the eyelids slightly. So again, it's thinking of how the body moves in relationship to each other. And this is something that the mirror or a webcam can be very helpful with, is just kind of analyzing that facial motion and connectivity. Okay. So we've got that. Now, actually, one thing I do want to do, and this is something I should have done at the beginning, but I kind of got focused on the face. Overconfidence isn't just in the facial pose. It's in the head angle. The head angle determines a lot of the... Oh, unfortunately, my internet is too bad to watch the stream. Okay, thank you for showing up anyway, and hopefully the recording will be working. I'll have the recording uploaded tonight, hopefully, along with yesterday's recording as well. So thank you so much for showing up, though. And hopefully you'll have a great week. Especially it's week 12, last week of the term before the official break. Although I always found week 12 to be a nice break week as well. Because really all you have to do is upload your progress reel and a few things like that. So, like I was saying, the head angle determines a lot about the personality. Because if I look down and smile, that's a different feeling than if I look up and smile and kind of like... When I look up, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm lifting my nose up at you and I'm better than you. Whereas I look down, it's almost creepy sometimes when you see someone smile and they're smiling like this. It gives a totally different feeling to the face. So if he's overconfident, I want to sell that in not just his facial pose, but his head angle. So let's raise that face there. You'll see that makes a big difference already. Let's kind of turn it like so. and then angle the head. Now which way? I think that way is going to be good. And just kind of sell that. Now, one thing you'll... Oh! Zudojik, thank you so much for following. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So one thing you'll notice is as I'm lifting his head up here, he's starting to lose that feeling of overconfidence, and he almost looks scared, like he's smiling. Well, kind of like what we were talking about before, where overconfidence can have many different feelings. Now it's like he's trying to portray overconfidence, but he doesn't really feel it. And the main reason is his eyelids. Again, eyelids rest over the eye here. As soon as I show a little bit of white over the eye, now it looks like he's freaking out. Like he's trying to look overconfident, but in his brain it's just screaming, "Get out of here, they're going to find out that you're lying." If I lower his eyelids just a little bit, suddenly he looks more relaxed, more calm, more confident. And I think I can push this brow down a little bit more. So we'll go with that. I kind of want to push this brow a little bit more. More like that. Okay. So let's go on to the other eye here. Again, same thing. We need to pose out the shape of the lid and make sure that we're keeping into account that the eyelid or the eye itself isn't a perfectly round object. It's got a lens to it. So let's hope this drawing works. So the eye isn't perfectly round, and then you've got the pupil in the front here. The eye actually has a lens to the front, like so. And this is what creates the very specific eye shape. Hey, Kikal Ras. I did not pronounce that right. Thank you so much for following. I really appreciate that. So I actually did some eye render tests a while back, just sculpting my own eyes, or not my eyes, but sculpting eyes for just practice. And I want to show that because it kind of illustrates exactly why that lens is important, not just for the eyelid shape, but for how the eye works in real life. And let me just find this on my computer here. Where did I put it? Okay, I think it's... Nope, not there. Not there. No. So, this is just something to look at while I'm looking at here. This is a nose practice that I was doing a while back. Okay, I think here it is. Okay, basic eye. Where is it? I had some renders here, but I can't find them. So here is an eyeball I had sculpted, but I cannot find the one without the lens for some reason. Dang it. I was hoping I could show that. It was a really good example of, because without the lens, you get a very odd look to the eye. So I can actually, let me save my scene, and I want to show this because it is very important, just in relation to how eyes work. So let me open up another version of Maya here. Let's open a scene and open that. Can you recommend a good video that teaches facial rigging for 3ds Max? Off the top of my head, unfortunately not. I don't use 3ds Max for rigging too much. Typically I use Maya, even though 3ds Max is better for rigging, typically. So off the top of my head, I can't say, but let's see. Facial rigging. I would check out Digital Tutors. Let me write this out for you. Digital Tutors, Gnomon, and is it Linda? Let me check the link there. Yeah, lynda.com, and Digital Tutors, Gnomon, Linda, and what was the other one? Why can't I think of it? But those sites have a lot of good tutorials. Now they are paid, but if you're interested in learning rigging and stuff like that, they have great selections of tutorials that go from basics to much more advanced stuff, and a whole series of videos that can be very, very helpful. Another one, this is what I used to learn Maya originally, was 3D Buzz, which I loved their videos, although I haven't kept up with them. I don't know how the newer videos are, but I learned a lot from those. Okay, so let's do a quick render test here, and hopefully it won't take too long. Render camera. Okay, so as this is rendering, we can just chat a little bit. But basically what I want to show here is that the lens of the eye, that's the part that kind of bumps outwards. It affects the eyelid because it's actually a protrusion. It's there's a bump on the front edge of your eye that pushes the eye shape out. So your eyelid has to wrap around that. And when you blink, it has to go over top of that. So here we have, you can kind of see it right there, where it's round and then it kind of bumps a little bit. If I look at my view here and look at it from the side, you can see there's the bump right there on the eye. Oh, Maddox, the dinosaur isn't finished yet. I figured I'd take a little break from the dinosaur, do some variety in the streams a little bit more, and then come back to it with fresh eyes. Especially I was on the tail overlap, and that's always a tricky thing. So I wanted to just kind of give that variety. So now if I hide the lens here, oops, let's only hide the lens. So let's see which one is which. Let's hide that one. And ungroup these. Not group, hide. Okay, so there's the eye without the lens. So you can see all the details and whatnot. But now, if I render this without that lens, we get a very different look to the eye. Look at that. It looks weird. because the lens is what bends the light so that we can see the pupil. Now, this example here isn't the most extreme. I'm going to show a little bit more of an extreme example in just a second here. But you can see how, look at that pupil. Without the lens, it's tiny and doesn't look right. With that lens, it distorts the light and brings light in, which then makes us see the pupil and makes the eye look more appealing. This is especially true when you see a character from the side. So if I was to, let's see if I can do both of them at the same time. Turn the visibility on here, and let's move this up like so. That way we can see them both together. But if I was to render the scene like so, we'll see if it works. Let's save this render and render again. So this is going to be a profile view of the eyes, both eyes at the same time. And you'll see that the lens really changes how that pupil is visible. So on this upper eye, we cannot see the pupil. It's just blue. The lower eye is the exact same angle, but because that light is refracting through the lens, it bends our visual view of the eye and makes us see the pupil. So it's very, very important that we keep that lens in mind, not just for the shape of the eyelids, but because without it, the eye will not look right. The eye is going to look dead and flat compared to having this very distinct look to it. So that's just a very important thing to keep in mind. So again, kind of coming back to our overconfident smile here. Let's keep posing that out. So I'm going to actually bring this eyelid down just a little bit more. And as I'm posing this, another thing that I want to do is I want to give this character a very specific line of action to the face. So I talked about the line of action to the face, but you can also angle the face to show direction. So for example, if you look at the brows here compared to the mouth, I'm creating this very specific angle so that the audience's eye almost acts like a funnel or an arrow. The audience's eye will automatically follow this direction and go this way. So whatever he's looking at, the audience's eye will be directed towards that because of this very specific angle I'm going with in the face here. Again, this is why you don't want to just keep the face flat. You can really sell a direction by pushing these things. Okay. So, we're getting our confident smile here. Let's maybe push the teeth up just a little bit. Or maybe, let's see, hey. Maybe open his mouth just a little bit, kind of like a hey look to him. A creep. So we've got that. I kind of want to push this eye a little bit more. Now I should pose out the eyes. By default, a lot of rigs are a little wall-eyed when you first use them. So for example, right now he's actually cross-eyed. If you look at him here, it looks like he's looking at something that's landed on his nose. Kind of just to push it a little bit more, kind of like that. So I want to push his eye to be a little bit more like he's looking off at something. And maybe I'll just kind of push his eyes so he's looking slightly down at something. Now, when you're working with eyes, it's always very important to watch their direction, because it can be very easy to push the eye too much one way or another, and get a very odd either wall-eyed or cross-eyed look to him. So we've got that. I'm going to turn on my shine controls. Again, for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning, these are controls I've added onto the rig, just to give me a little bit more control over him. So let's take this shine, and I want to put it just in the corner of the eye there. Right there. Something like that. Get it out of the center. Turn that off. Let's see. I don't like this top lip, the way it's working. Now, we're getting a lot of gum here. That's fine for now. I'm going to be tweaking this a little bit. So let's kind of add a curl to his mouth, just slightly. Like so. Keep the shape of the mouth simple. This is one of those things where a simple mouth shape is often much more appealing. And let's see, I'll actually close his mouth. It's kind of looking a little creepy. There you go. That's much more of a confident smile. And I want to try lowering that lid even more. Give him that kind of more relaxed look. Again, the more the eye is open, the more he's going to look like he's scared or crazed almost. So something like that. Now, the last few things I can do. Out of curiosity, in the 3D animation industry, are we as animators expected to know rigging in depth? You don't have to know any rigging whatsoever. Now, this will depend on the studio, definitely. But for most larger studios, rigging is not a necessity. They want to hire you as an animator. As long as you're a good animator, that's what they want. Now, if you're working at a smaller studio, then they might prefer someone who is a jack of all trades a little bit more, because that means that you're going to be able to work in a few different departments. They don't have the manpower to just have dedicated people. So it really depends on the studio, but in general, you don't need to know any rigging at all. Now, is it bad to learn rigging? Definitely not. Knowing a little bit of rigging can really help just you as an animator, even if it's just the basic rigging, avoid pitfalls or be able to communicate better with the staff at the studio. Because if you find a problem with the rig, for example, you can communicate with the riggers properly and give them feedback on what could be improved a little bit more easily than just saying, oh, it doesn't do what I want it to. But again, it's not necessary. Let's see, what happens with a pupil if he were Asian? Let's see. I'd have to look up reference, but it would basically be the same rules, just maybe a little like lower here. But yeah, it's not going to change a huge amount there. The basic rules stay the same. The big difference is, I forget the name of it, but it's the skin up top here. How much of the eyelid is actually shown versus kind of flowing into the top here. So, for example, that would be a little bit more of an Asian look because you've got that fold of skin up there. And I have that over, I think it's my left eye. and that fold of skin kind of comes down a lot more over that eye. And it's just this extra piece of skin that's above the eyelid that will sometimes come down. So if I did that, I could still have open eyes and still have that kind of more Asian look. Now that's not the only thing, but it's something that can help. So we've got the smile here. Now, one thing I want to start doing is coming in here and using some of the extra attributes here. So for example, I've got this depth attribute. This will help me kind of bring the mouth in and avoid this kind of pocket look in his jaw, like so. I don't want to push it too far, and then once I do this, I'm going to want to take these controls and just shape his lip around his teeth. The last thing I want is for his teeth to cut through his lip and vice versa. Like so. Like so. Get that feeling that it wraps around the teeth. Again, sympathetic motion. Our teeth are a bony structure. Our lips have to go around it. So the other thing I can do is use the seal corner attribute to kind of give a little bit more definition in the lips or remove the definition. So I'm going to, since it's stretching, I'm going to just remove a little corner here. Let's just seal height, see if that does anything. No, I'm good there. Okay. Now I do want to take this and kind of bring it up a little bit more. Get that V shape in the mouth there. Something like that. Okay. So we've got that. Another thing I can do, and this is something you want to play with very slightly, but you can do it, is if I take these controls here, it's hard to see them, they're inside the mouth, but I can actually rotate the teeth, which actually looks really creepy. But with this, I can move the teeth around ever so slightly and just give him a little bit more of an angle, or a kind of what's the right word I'm looking for? A design to his face. So instead of just having the teeth stay perfectly flat, I can kind of give him a more cartoony look. So now his teeth are actually angled with the mouth, with the rest of the face. It ties the whole design together a little bit more, instead of feeling like separate elements. Now again, you want to be very careful with this, and you don't want to ever animate this so that the audience sees the teeth moving. They are supposed to be bony structures. This is more just to push the pose a little bit more. Now, a few other things I can do is I need to make sure that I'm taking into account the cheeks, the nose, all of that. So when I smile, my cheeks go up. When I sneer, one corner of my nose go up. All of this is connected to the mouth and even to the eyes. So for example, if he's smiling, well, this cheek is going to have to come back slightly. This upper part here is going to come up. It's going to compress into the rest of the face there. His nose is going to come up slightly like so. And it's a small thing, but it makes a world of difference in how the face feels and kind of works together. Even the tip of his nose I could rotate slightly just to kind of give it a bit more flow. Just take this and kind of rotate it with the face there. Now, one thing I feel like I'm losing is the overconfidence, that kind of arrogance to him. So let's do that. I think that helps a little. I just moved his eyes up so he doesn't look like he's kind of looking down and kind of relaxed. Again, this cheek down. Let's bring this in slightly, kind of push that silhouette of his face just to be a little bit more of a divot there. So there you go. Now it's not quite right. There's a few things I want to try and adjust here. Bring that lip down. I do want to try taking both teeth and, oops, make sure I have both of them. And just kind of move the whole smile down so that we see more of the top teeth, less of the bottom teeth. This will kind of just give him more of that smile look to him and less angle the teeth, so we get just a little less gum in the back there. Like that. So you can see how much that changes the smile. Let's just see what happens when we reset this. So that was before with the teeth just in their default position. This is tweaked ever so slightly. It's not a huge change, but it does add something. All these controls, how do people do dialogue tasks? Yeah, it does take a while. But the thing is, when you're doing dialogue, just like when you're doing an acting shot, or sorry, just a body shot, the longest part is that first pose, because you have to create the entire character from that first pose. Once you have that, it becomes easier to go from one pose to the next, so your workflow speeds up. Kind of like how when I was doing the raptor shot, it took me basically an entire stream to do 3 poses, just the contact poses, and then afterwards I managed to do every other pose along with refining the contact poses in one other stream. So the first pose just takes a long time because you're designing a lot of things. Once you have it, it gets faster. But this is something I always do when I'm working, is I want to design this pose. That's why I'm taking so much time with it. I want to make sure that when I start, I'm going to have something that works right from the beginning. Now, when I'm doing my first passive blocking, I'm not going to go this far. Definitely not for the face. But once I do get into the refining phase, I will take my time with this. Okay, so we've got that. So that is working pretty well. Now, another thing I can do is I can use these controls over here. Oh, let's see. Thank you again for sharing all the information. Okay, thank you for stopping by, Greg. It's always a pleasure to have you in the streams. Let's see. Is Unity 3D okay to animate a bit? I've never used Unity, but yeah, Unity is really... I've heard good things about it, especially the latest version. Unreal Engine is good too. It's any software for animation. They have their pros and cons, but the basic principles of animation stay the same. So as long as you follow those, it's just a matter of getting used to the hotkeys. Typically, which key on your keyboard is going to set a key. How is the graph editor going to work? Things like that. Let's see. One thing you can do for Unity is animate in Maya and then use that in Unity. Okay, yeah. So you can do that as well. Unreal Engine, that is the same thing. You can animate in Maya, then export your animation into Unreal Engine. So if you want to do it that way, you can definitely do that. And then I'm really looking forward to facial acting. Is that naive? Not at all. Facial acting, the big thing I would recommend when you first start facial acting is try not to forget your fundamentals. And what I mean by this is when a lot of people get to facial acting, they've learned about body mechanics and pantomime acting and all of that stuff. And then as soon as they get into acting, like facial acting, they drop all of those fundamentals and get lost within the face, which, of course, like, you look at all these controls here, it's so easy to do. But if you're not careful and you don't build those body mechanics in first, the facial acting won't matter. Body mechanics comes first. If your character feels alive, even without the face, if you can feel the emotion that they're experiencing without having any facial controls and just kind of a blank canvas, you're going to be way better off than if you have a face that reads but nothing else. And then the bonus of that is, if you do get your body mechanics working good and all your acting within the body working, when you add that face, it's just going to bring it up to the next level. So it's always important to keep that in mind. And it is difficult when you first get into facial acting here because of all the details you have to put in. And then which program is Rockstar Games using? I'm not sure. Every studio is different, so there's no one answer for that. And let's see, lots to introduce while remembering all the physicality. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm underestimating the workload. Once you get to an acting shot like this, the workload does get much harder. It's, I would say it almost doubles or triples the workload as soon as you get into facial acting like this, because there's so many things that you have to remember. But it's daunting, but as long as you approach it, I don't want to say wisely, but systematically, so you're not just moving things randomly and hoping that it turns out, it's not too difficult. So kind of like what I'm doing here, I'm just taking it one step at a time and breaking things down so that it's just simple shapes and simple concepts, if that makes sense. I don't want to overcomplicate it. I'm still thinking of line of action and all of those fundamentals that you were taught in class 1. It's the same principles, just in the face. Hey, Blackcoon, would you recommend using a character with facial controls for the A04 pantomime shot? That depends on your mentor. Some mentors prefer that you use a character that doesn't have facial controls, so that you focus 100% on the acting of the body without losing or without being distracted by the face. Other mentors are okay with having a facial rig as you're doing that. So for something like that, I would actually recommend just asking your mentor when you get to that point if they're okay with a full character, full facial animation shot, or if they would prefer just a basic pantomime shot. And if they say they're okay with either, ask them what they think would help you most, because that's what your mentor is there for. They're there to help you get the results you want, and the only way they can do that a lot of times is if you ask them. So this is something that I always tell all the students: don't be afraid to ask your mentor questions. If you want to know, do you think I should start focusing on facial animation, or should I keep it a little simpler and focus just on the pantomime? They'll let you know, especially if you're not sure of your body mechanics yet. Oftentimes it can be easier to just focus on a simpler shot. But it really comes down to the individual and the mentor's preferences. Also, probably depends on the student's skill. Yeah, exactly. So if the student is still struggling with body mechanics, adding facial controls on top of that is just going to make things harder. So it's just that kind of thought process. So I think we're pretty much done with this, I'm gonna kind of bring his shoulders up a little bit. He was slouching too much. Maybe kind of bring them back. Give him that kind of cocky look to him. And rotate his chest up like that. So with that, we're pretty much done. Now there are a few polish controls you can use, which is the very top here and bottom. These are the lower and upper face controls. And these are controls that you can use to push the line of action of your face even more. So you can see what I was talking about at the beginning, before I even started posing out this face, is that I wanted to get a line of action in the face. Well, I've got that now. I've got that, that, and this. It's a line of action. It's not just straight like that with the eyes and the mouth here, and then the face just perfectly centered in the middle there. I've pushed that line of action. I've made it more dynamic. But I can push that even more if I wanted to. And this is a control that a lot of people don't use, and you have to be careful when you are using it. Because it's easy to overdo. So this will allow me to stretch his face. So I can add all sorts of distortions to his face here. And it can really lead to some odd results here. But you can see how you can use this to just push that line in the face just a little bit. So maybe like that. I'll pull out his jaw slightly. Let's kind of push his face there a little bit. And I'm just using it very subtly. But let's take it off. So you can see how it's not much. But it just adds something. Just a little bit. And it can be very helpful in just going from a good pose to really selling a pose. So I could really push this a lot here. And for certain poses, this can be very helpful in getting the exact feeling you want. But there you go. So there's our overconfident. Now there's something I'm not actually liking here. And it's this eyelid. I kind of want to bring it down a little lower. Really sell that kind of relaxed, confident look to him. Devastated? Okay, that sounds like a good one. Let me just make sure I set a key on all this. Excuse me. And you can see how from the start to the end here, we can really change this character and his personality. And especially when we push the lines in the face, we can really sell that way more. Okay, so let's select all the controls here. I'm going to move to the next frame and set a key. Basically copying my neutral pose, so we can start from scratch. And I should save. Don't want to lose everything I've done so far. This is going to be, oops. Make sure I'm on here. My grease pencil is not showing. Interesting. I'm not sure why my grease pencil is all glitchy today. There you go. Now it's back. Okay. It's gonna be devastated. Okay. Oh, and did it just disappear again? Yeah. Weird. Oh well. Oh, thank you. I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out as well. I I always love doing these facial pose tests because sometimes they don't work out, but other times they do, and it's just so much fun to see the personality come out, especially when you compare it to the neutral pose here, and suddenly the character feels so much more alive. And you can just see how he went from extremely just basic bland. There is no life to this character right now. And let me reset my shine controls here. Oops. Just get those back. Like that. To something that's much more alive. Okay. So now we've got devastated. So I want to make sure that I set a key on everything, just so I can start from here. And let's look up some reference for devastated. I always like to look up reference first, just because it can help get you ideas that you wouldn't have had normally. So a lot of these facial expressions here that I'm seeing are... Here, I can show this since I already did the search. So you can see they're kind of just a little sad, but it's the way the eyes are. That's what sells the devastation. Now you can go like much bigger, like something like this. But overall, a lot of it comes in just kind of the expression of the eyes and that inner monologue that's going on with the character. The feeling that they're not, for lack of a better word, they're not responding to the outside world anymore. They are so devastated that they've retreated into themselves. So that's going to be a fun one to try and do. Because we could go all out and have them just like crying or something like that, but I think it'll be more fun to try and go for that just sense of loss and just what's the word I'm looking for? True devastation, I guess. So let's start with that. So as I'm starting, I'm just going to start with the main poses, kind of what I should have done on the first one. So let's push the shoulders forward a little bit. Bring them down. Really get that feeling of just sagging in the chest there. Let's take his head and the what a dead-on description of devastation. I want to take his head, and it's going to be a little to the side. I think a little up, but then take the neck, kind of bring it forward a little bit. Something like that, and maybe turn away from camera a little bit. Something like that. So already I'm just trying to sell the pose first. What is he feeling? Again, it's going down to the body mechanics first before adding the face to a small degree. So now that we've got that, let's start adding the other things in. Now, I want to turn on the shine control because these shines are not reset and it's bugging me when they're just kind of off on their own. There you go. Centered on the eyes. So let's get the eye positions done first this time. So again, I want the feeling that he's either kind of retreated into himself or that he is kind of just blank-faced, just in shock with whatever has happened. So I want to have the eyes somewhat crossed. The more you have the eyes crossed, the more it tends to feel like the characters within themselves. So I'm just gonna cross them a little bit. Not too much. I want more of a deadpan expression. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Let's push the rotation of the head just a little bit more. And maybe add a little bit of neck rotation there as well. Okay. So let's start with the eyes. The brows will have to come down. Eyelids will need to come down. Wrong control. This is why the GUI picker can be very helpful. So like so. Let's take the lower lid controls and maybe raise them up a little bit. Kind of give that puffy-eyed look, as if he's been crying or trying to contain his emotions. Okay, and then the mouth. The corners of the mouth are going to be down and maybe drawn out slightly. So there's the basis of it. Now, this is what I've seen a lot of when people start with facial expressions. They kind of just do this very quickly and then they leave it at that. So this is where the next step of pushing everything comes in, of shaping the eyelids, shaping the brows, offsetting things so that we create that line of action to the face. So let's create that here. Let's start with the brows. So for the brow, how do I want to do this? Let's bring this center part in. Actually, okay, that's just a polishing control there. Bring this in a little bit, kind of create that furrow. Hey Danny, how's it going? So Danny, since you just showed up, right now we're working on some facial poses. Right now we're working on a devastated facial pose. And trying to get that to sell. Okay. I want the brows right now to feel, let's see, turbulent, if that makes sense. As if he's trying to process a lot of information, but not really sure how. So like a little bit of sad, but not just kind of sad like that, where he's just sad. I want it to feel a little bit more like he doesn't know how he should feel right now. He's trying to process it, and it's that moment of it, like, true devastation. It's not just sadness. Sadness is I watched a sad movie or a documentary or something like that. My sports team lost, although some people do get devastated when that happens. But with devastation, it's this whole mental implosion of emotion, of feeling lost and not knowing what to do and not being able to do anything. And that's kind of what I want to sell with this, is that feeling of just internal turmoil. Now, another thing that you can do when you're thinking of facial poses like this, and this is something I do when I'm working on things for a shot or even facial poses, is think of the backstory. Why is he devastated? That's going to really sell things, because devastated because you didn't get your favorite or the job that you wanted is different than devastated because you just learned that a family member passed away. So right now I just lowered these they're not the eyelids, but the skin above the eye. I used that to lower the eyes, and you can see just how much of a difference it makes. By default, his eye just kind of looks closed, but as soon as I bring that down, we get this kind of darker, hooded look to him. He looks almost sadder already just by doing that. Again, sympathetic motion, thinking of how all the body parts relate to each other. Let's take the eye here. Let's start with this one since it's closer. Again, shape the eye and take into account that cornea. Now, it's not always going to affect a huge amount how the eye is shaped, but it will be noticeable. And again, sympathetic motion of how that eyelid is being pressed down upon. Let's see. Oops. Roll there. Try to get this puffy eye, lower eyelid feeling. The feeling like he's trying to hold back tears or just emotion. Another control that you can use is, let's see, the orbic control here. This is on the lower lid. With this, I can add some puffiness to that lower lid right there. And then, let's see, I believe there was another one here somewhere, but I'll have to look for it. So, like that. I can increase his iris size. That'll help sell devastation. So, like, if I shrink his pupils down, it's going to be kind of more creepy. If I bring that up just a little bit, it'll just make him look a little bit more vulnerable. Let's see. All those muscles pulling towards the center of the face, right? Yeah, exactly. Stress on the center. Smiles pulls outwards, and every emotion kind of pulls in different ways, and they pull differently on different people as well. So for example, some people, when they smile, their eyes widen and they get like really wide eyes. Other people, like me, when I smile, my eyes tend to crinkle and just close up. everyone's a little different, but in general, when you smile, things go outwards. When you frown, everything comes inwards. And again, you can play with those lines to really sell the emotion. Hey, Daniel Stewart, thank you for following. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, and I don't know if my notification came up, actually. Did anyone see the notification for Daniel Stewart? Let's see. Oh, Daniel Stewart. This is Bo. I'm his twin brother. So, okay, cool. You did see the notification. Good. I don't know if the audio played for it, but my audio might have been just too low. Okay. So we've got that eyelid there. Let's do the other one here. Again, just going through and pushing this down. Now this is one of those things that a lot of people will do, is they'll hide the eyebrow inside the eye. So just to kind of show here, they'll hide it within the eye like that. It's usually a good idea to bring it down. Not all the time. Sometimes you can get good eye shapes, but the eyelid, especially the eyelashes, tend to go down below that ridge of skin there. Oh, you took the workshop with Cameron. That's awesome. Yeah, we both teach the workshop, so a lot of times we have a bunch of students, and we both teach different classes here at AM. So it's always fun when one student goes into the class of the other, because, well, we're twins, identical twins. So that's always fun. Let's see. Try to make that sad again. Again, it's not just sadness that I'm going for. If it was just sadness, I'd just kind of bring the brows down and make it a little bit simpler. But I really want to push that thought process going in here. Or I need some way to tell you apart. Our whole family keeps telling us that. Let's see. I'm going to try to close this eye just a little bit more. Just kind of give that feeling of strain. And the other thing I can do is take this lower part of the eye and either pull or open that as well. So I'm going to take this and let's kind of just open it there, kind of give him a weary look to him. And then let's see. All right. Okay, so there's the eyes. Let's do the mouth now. Now the mouth can be tricky with things like devastation. The big thing that I like to avoid is just that kind of just sad look to it. So I could just go sad, just like that. But again, there's so much emotion that devastation entails that it's not just sadness. So I want to show that strain in the character. So I'm going to just shape his lip here. I kind of want to shape the top lip so that it's not just a simple line. Create a little bit more of definition. So basically I'm trying to... I forget the name of it because whenever I'm streaming I forget all my terms, but there's that little gap in your lip there. So let's see, do I still have that open? Oh, and my computer just froze. I hope I'm still moving around here. There you go. My computer just came back. So I don't have it there. Let's see, do I have... I think I've got some images here. I could just Google it, but... Let's see. Does that have it? Okay, yeah. So this area right here, it starts with F, I think. The frenum or something like that. I want to capture that because it gives a distinct look to the lips that aren't just simple lines. And it's just going to help me sell that feeling of the pose there. And then let's push this a little bit more. No, I kind of like the other way more. And then the lips, I'm actually gonna roll them in a little bit because this is not the philtrum. Okay, nice. Thank you so much. I was close-ish. But I want to roll the lips in because, again, this is not sadness where it's someone pouting and the big lower lip and the puppy dog eyes. This is devastation, and it's like everything's just kind of compressing inwards, and I want that feeling of the feeling that everything about this character, Frenum is inside the mouth. Okay, behind the lips. Okay, cool. I'll have to keep that in mind. At least I got it in the close area. It's not like the frenum was like some sort of muscle in your foot or something like that. Go way the wrong way. Okay. Now I do want to offset his mouth here because I kind of moved this control at the same space. So like that. Let's see if I lower his eyebrows. Is that going to help? Yeah, that helps a little bit. If I push it too far, then he just gets angry. But just kind of finding that happy medium between... Again, I want him to feel like he's processing so many emotions and he just doesn't know which one to process properly. As if he's just utterly lost. This looks fun. You get to use these rigs in class 4 at AM. So it takes a while to get used to them, but this is one of my favorite exercises to just kind of play around with because, well, it's just fun. It's fun to take a rig, go from just the basic default pose, and then try to make the character really feel something. So again, I can't forget the nose and the cheeks. A lot of people tend to forget that. If he's stressed out, his nostrils might flare up a little bit. So when you're crying, you get that a little bit more. I can take this nasofold and just push that line right here to kind of add that weary look to him a little bit more. Like that. Add that stress. Let's take the cheek here. Let's kind of drop it down. Let's take the cheek. I'm going to kind of bring it in. Again, I want to show the stress in the face. So I want to kind of make him look weary. I want to age him a little bit. It's not going to really make him look like an old man, but I want him to just look like the world has beat him down and he has nothing left. He is just a broken person, and can't even muster the energy to keep going. A true, just devastated all the way. And this is what I mean when I was talking about pushing the expression. Don't just go a little way. Oh, I'm going to make him sad. Corner of the mouth. As I'm talking about all this, this is the things that are going through my head as I'm posing him out. I'm trying to think, what should he be feeling? What is this emotion here? Maybe bring that jaw up a little bit, kind of tense things up. And there you go. Now, again, I can take these controls here and maybe see if I can push this even more. And let's push the line of action in the face a little bit. Not much. Again, this control lends itself well to pushing the line of action slightly and for very cartoony things. But for something more subtle like this, I really want to keep it subtle. There you go. Let's see, maybe have him look down a bit, like he's looking inside. Let's give that a try. So I could have him look down slightly. Let's move the eyes. Let's see. Maybe a little bit. I'll go halfway between what I had and something like that. Just a little bit of an angle change. And then I'm going to take this eye here and just kind of bring it in a little bit more. Just a little bit. To give him that feeling of inner thought. Like that. Let's see, when you're animating a shot, will you animate all those face controls pretty much through the whole shot? Or will you let most of them change with the initial poses you set? Typically, the initial pose, this one takes the longest. This is where you're going to be setting all these controls and playing through. And when I'm doing this, I try to keep things simple. So what I mean by this is, for example, the eye controls here. I'll only ever use 2 of them. Let me move this out. Not straight up like that. I'll make them look creepy. But you can see how there's 3 controls. There's the main control that moves both eyes together, and then 2 individual controls. So when I'm working on a rig, what I'll often do is I'll pick 2 controls to use and leave the 3rd one. So I'll use the main control because that moves both of them. And then once I get... Let's say I want him to look to the left here. Once I get one eye in place, I'll use the control of the 2nd eye to refine it. But this way I'm only ever using 2 controls. The only time I'll use this other control is to adjust the pupil or the iris. So although I'm working with a lot of controls, I try to keep them simple. In the sense of I'm not moving every single one all the time. And if I can, I try to only use the ones I need. And basically use the least amount of controls that I possibly can for a situation. Now one thing I do want to try is actually, I want to try bring his irises down. Just again, big irises tend to make a character look young. I want him to look older. So I'm going to shrink down his irises a little bit. Like that. And now I need to push the sadness a little bit more, so let's try to push the sadness in his face here a little bit more. He's kind of feeling a little sneery. which I'm not caring for. Let's take the brows. Push that and raise this. There you go. That helps. So just pushing the brows slightly to get more of a sad look to the eyes and less of a just angry look. So I think, let's see, what else can we do here? I can take his nose again and just rotate it to play with that line of action in the face. And there you go. Just seeing what happens if I push his face even more. There you go. By angling his head, I'm lowering the intensity of his stare. So if his head is straight, it looks like he's really focused on something. By pushing it off to the side a little bit more, what I'm trying to do is make it look like he's staring, but he's getting lost within his own thoughts. Okay. So I'm actually going to just go back to the other pose here. So here we have our basic neutral Jules, and it's amazing how bland he looks as soon as you go back. And this goes with any rig. As soon as you pose them out and then you go back to the neutral pose, they just look so bland. Everything's straight, everything's even, the eyes are just super open. And then you start posing them out and suddenly you really get a lot more emotion in there, especially when you start posing the entire face and not just corners of the mouth, eyebrows, that's it, and eyelids usually. You want to really focus on all the controls, and it makes a big difference. No, let's see. So I think Devastated is pretty much done. I might kind of come back and tweak some things, but I was thinking the same as Black Coon. Maybe his eyeline is searching downwards into space. Let's give it a try. Let's push it more down. So more like that. Right. When you're having a character look down, it's a very fine line between like sad and then angry. Now, for example, if I push his head down too far to where the eyebrows are overlapping, let's move the eyes so he doesn't look like a killer. You'll see that no matter how I move his eyes, he still looks angry. So I need to be able to see that kind of the underside of the brow to really, oops, that's his head, to sell that sadness. And then let's take the eyelids here and move those down. Like that. Yeah, I like that. A little bit more downwards, not straight ahead. I wonder if I was to kind of mix the two. Maybe a little bit more like that. And I need to raise this eye a little bit. There you go. Cool. So there we go. We have Devastated. So let's see. Any other facial expressions people would like to see? And I need to make sure I save. I already saved before, but always a good idea to double check your saves. Let's see. Do the creases under his eyes make him look older? Yeah, as soon as you add any creases at all, creases can really add age to a character. So if I wanted to make him look younger, let's see, which control is this? I could take this control here and reduce the amount of crease, or I could increase it. And the more you increase it, the older he'll look. The same with the nasofold here. The more I increase that, the more he'll kind of look older and weathered. So actually, this is something I want to add here. I didn't add it before, but I kind of want to add a little bit of a nasofold to the smile just to get a little crease in there. Because as the face kind of stretches out there, you get a fold. And I'll do it on the other side, just slightly. It helps to give definition between the mouth area and then the cheek area as well. Let's see. So, let's see, we had creepy expression and then hungry expression. Hungry, creepy, Hannibal. We'll do maybe we'll try that. Mix the two together and see what horrors we can create. So let me set a key on all the controls here. Okay. Now his eyes, there you go. He looks so bland now. So hungry, creepy. So his shoulders are gonna come up a little bit, be a little bit more predatory. His neck probably come forward a little bit. Let's see. Head angle. Let's see. Let's see. What kind of angle? To go really creepy, you just lower the face like this. That'll tend to make it really creepy. So let's just kind of push this to the extreme here. And I'm just going to push the neck a little bit more forward and rotate these shoulders. Now, the eyes. Let's see. Have his tongue come out licking his lips. Ooh, that's a good one. A lot of people don't usually animate the tongue or move the tongue as much as they can. And that's always a fun thing to do. So. I think having him look up is going to be creepier in this case. It's going to be the, oh, hello, compared to the hello. So, that's going to be something we'll have to explore. Head up. I think like that, because that's what gives him that hungry expression. It's that kind of, oh, food. Versus something like this feels malicious. Anime always goes for that. Gluttony from Full Metal Alchemist. He was always super creepy. Excuse me. What class in AM do you learn science behind expressions? Class 4 is when you start learning that. So you start learning in class 4 and you keep learning it in class 5 because there is a lot to kind of go over. Okay. Let's get those eyes kind of looking forward. Because now he's not going to be looking inwards. He's going to be looking at something specific. So his eyes need to kind of separate a little bit. Give the sense that he's looking at something. Let's see. What else can we... here? So his eyebrows. With creepy, we have a lot of different elements. Like you can have creepy where the eyebrows are up, or you can have creepy where the eyebrows are down, or a little bit in between. So I kind of like that already. So you can see how showing the white of the eyes, it adds that creepy factor. This is gonna be a both horrible and fun one to work on. Let's see. So for the mouth, I want it open a little bit. And he's going to be smiling, but it's not going to be a happy smile. Let's see. I might even move the mouth up a little bit. Kind of just give him a bigger chin. Or, let's see. Yeah, just a little bit up higher. Let's take the eyelids here. I still want to keep that creepy expression, so I'll just keep them up higher like so. Eyebrows. Let's see. Again, with creepy eyebrows, there's so many choices. We can go for a flat eyebrow, like just expressionless. Or we could go for, hey, Verdrinos, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Can you make him look out the corner of his eye? Definitely. Let's do that. So, let's see. I wonder if I could have him kind of look like that. And then do I want to do it like that? Or do I want him to look... Actually, I think what's going to be better is if I have him look kind of towards camera a little bit more. This way I can get a little bit more profile in the face. And get a little bit kind of audience participation as he's looking towards us. Now, one thing I can do to make him even creepier is reduce the iris size and then reduce the pupil size. And even maybe take this one and make it a little bit bigger. Or actually, bigger pupil on this one, and then smaller iris. Or let's see. Larger iris, smaller pupil. So one eye has a larger iris, but a small pupil, and then the other one has the opposite. Now I don't want it too much, or else he'll look disconnected. But if I push it a little bit, it kind of makes him look offset. So something like that. Let's push that smile. I kind of want him to have a Joker type smile where it's way too big for what it should be. Now, one thing I do want to do before I even go on to the face is, this is something that you'll see with a lot of rigs when you're first posing them out without lighting in your scene. Is the inside of the mouth is the same color as the rest of the rig. Because ideally, we'll add lighting into the scene and make the inside of the mouth filled with shadow. But by default, when we're just animating like this, it doesn't look right. And I'm not planning on rendering this shot out. So what I can do to help make that look more appealing is just color the inside of the mouth. So I'm just going to make it so I can select... oh, take care, Sin. Hope you have a great week, and thanks for dropping by. It's been super, super interesting. Thanks, I'm glad. Have a great week. So I'm going to just select the inside of his mouth. Oops. I'll do this with a mouse. It's typically easier to select geometry like that. And then grow the selection. And I just want to grow that selection until I get to maybe there. I don't want to go too far. Yeah, we'll go there. And I'm just going to apply, oops, assign favored material, and I'm going to assign a Lambert to it. Hey, Haku Design, thank you for following. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So what I'm doing is I'm assigning a new Lambert to this. So I'm going to call this mouth _M. I like to add the _M for materials. It's just kind of my naming convention for things. And I'm just going to put it skin colored. Something like that, but then very dark. So I'm just turning the value down on it. And now you can see how that mouth is dark inside. So the exact color is not right or correct at the moment. I need to brighten that up a little bit. It's way too dark right now. But oh, did Maya just freeze on me? Oh no, Maya, why? How could you? Oh, looks like it did. Okay, let's see how much I lost here. Okay. I think I saved... I can't remember if I saved any of the devastation pose, but we'll see. Oh wait, yay, it's back. Perfect. So, make sure to save. And make sure I turn his body selectability off again. Now I can adjust the color later on, but for now let's keep going with this pose here. Since I want him to kind of look towards the audience, I want to push this line of action of the face open towards the audience a little bit more. Okay. Push that line there. Let's see. There you go. Kind of push the expression a little bit more. I feel sorry for anyone who jumps in at this moment without knowing what we were doing for the rest of the stream. Especially, we've got nice cheery holiday music playing, and then we've got this face coming in. It's gonna make for a great first impression. Let's see. I want to keep the eyebrow low enough so that he kind of has that dark expression, but not so low as to be not so low as to just kind of be just angry. I also want to add a little bit of tension in his eyebrows here, just to kind of show, even though he's smiling, there's a tenseness in him. It's not a genuine smile. This face would be make great Christmas cards. Yeah, exactly. Merry Christmas. Let's see. I think I kind of want to push the jaw this way. Okay. Now, I should finish the eyes first, and then I'll move down to the mouth. And by finish the eyes, it's just going to be the initial posing for them. So, I need to get these shines showing up here, wherever they are. Actually, it doesn't matter. But let's shape the eye lids themselves. Again, eyelids are one of those things that a lot of people will forget about when they're posing the eyes. They'll just kind of play with the base eye shape. So just this main controller here. Open that up to whatever they need, and then that's it. But if you don't pose out the rest of the eye, you're not going to get an eye that has a lot of emotion to it and life to it. Sculpting the eye shape is very important in creating a pose that is unique and feels alive. Because again, the eyes are a huge part of human emotion and what we look at when we're trying to figure out what people are thinking. So if we don't pose this out, what ends up happening is we just won't get that feeling that the character is alive. No matter how much we pose the rest of the shot, it's just not going to feel right. I love this song. Let's see. Do you use the 3 little brow controls for Translate Y or just the main one? I'm finding that I'm counter animating a lot. It depends on the shot. If I've got a lot of expressive brow movements, oftentimes I won't even move these brow controls. The main ones, I'll just use the smaller ones. It's the same with the mouth. Sometimes I'll just use the main control here for a lot of motion. Other times, if I need a lot of very distinct shapes, I'll use these smaller controls and just shape everything. Actually, that kind of looks cool. If I kind of do something like that. But with the brows, I'll use this control if the character is just kind of doing basic eyebrow motion, and then I'll just kind of reshape with the other ones. So maybe like an eyebrow wiggle like that. But it really does depend on the shot, and how much expression I'm doing. If it's a lot of expression, I do like to kind of simplify it down. I might just get the basic, like bring the brows down in general with these controls, and then just leave them there and then animate the rest so that I don't have to move the little controls as far to get the starting position. So, I hope that answers your question. I don't feel like I gave a proper answer to it. It's just, oh, whatever. But that's kind of how it works. It's whatever works best for that situation. Especially sometimes you'll have a character like they just have boring brows where it's just straight. Well, you don't need to use those 3 little ones. You can just use the main one. So, yeah, it depends. Let's see, and then I need to make sure I shape the skin under the eye too. to really push that feeling that the skin is pushing up. This cheek here is going to be pushing into this eye, which is creating that bump here. Because this is something that you'll see a lot of people do, where they're going to shape the eyelid and they want to add this kind of shape right there to it. And they'll just move the eyelid to make that shape. The problem is the eyelid doesn't work like that. Like we talked about before, the cornea of the eye, the lens of the eye, has a bump to it. And the eyelid goes around that. So in general, what this eye should be doing is more like this. But the reason I'm pushing it up and I'm getting this distinct shape is because the cheek is pushing up and pushing the eyelid over the cornea. So again, this comes down to sympathetic motion. If you keep in mind how the body affects the different parts that are attached to it, it will make sense why certain poses will happen versus other times. And you'll get much more natural poses versus just poses that feel random. So let's see, I need to get the other eye in place here. And just kind of shape that a little bit more. Get a little bit more of an angle to the eye. Now this one, again, like I said, I don't typically like to have the eyelashes behind the skin like this, where it's hidden. It's typically better to show it a little bit. It just kind of gives a more natural eye look to the eye and more definition. It keeps it from feeling like the rig is having issues. Now, one thing I do want to do is make this eyelid a little bit more narrow. A little bit more like that. So you can see I'm taking some time to really pose out these eyes and thinking of how the skin will push or press against the eye to get very specific shapes in not just the eye silhouette or eyelid silhouette, but also the skin of the eyelid here. So we'll go with that. Let's flare out his nostrils a little bit. Just to kind of give that creepy, breathing heavily look. Let's see. Let's see. What is it next? Well, I need to do the mouth. So let's get the basic mouth shape in here. I kind of want, like I said before, I kind of want that Joker grin a little bit in here. Excuse me. Just to kind of push that a little bit more. Yeah, that is one weird face. I feel sorry for anyone who's jumping into the Q&A right now. The face we're going for at the moment is Hungry Creepy. So, let's see. Now, one thing I can do is I can shape the mouth to be, like you can see, very wobbly, or I have a lot of control over the shape of this mouth if I wanted to. But when I'm doing that, I need to pick one lip typically and try to push that one lip shape. So one should be straighter or simpler, and then the other one a little bit more complex. If you make both lips too complex, like this, suddenly it gets very weird, and the design becomes less appealing. Can I link a hungry creepy? Definitely. As long as it's work safe. Let's see. I need to pull out the tongue here. This face is all I see in my dreams. Oh, there you go. There you go. That is a hungry, creepy face. So, yeah, I kind of want to see what happens if I angle the head down now. Kind of just... I don't know. I kind of like that for this one. Maybe push it up just a little bit. Now, how do I want to do the tongue? This one has the Joker vibe. Ooh. Let's see. Open that up. I've seen that one before. That is creepy. I don't know who thought that would be a great face for selling a product. Now I feel like kind of doing that face with Jules. That's the problem with finding good reference, is as soon as you see it, it's just like, I want to try that now. Let's see. I'm going to scale the tongue down a little bit. Now the tongue is always a kind of a pain to work with at times, because the tongue is inside the mouth. Who would ever buy a product with a creepy Chucky little kid? Yeah, exactly. I don't know who wants to buy that product with a kid like that on it. But you have to admit, it's memorable. So when I'm posing out the tongue here, I'm just trying to get the basic pose in here, because the tongue is going to be very important in figuring out how the lips are going to move. Those kids are too happy to be eating. I don't even know if it's happy. That's the horrible part about it. I've still got it open on my other monitor, and he's just staring at me. It's horrifying. Let's see. I want to lower this one just a tad so that I can rotate this one. Try to get an arc in the tongue here. Let's see. Those kids are some true Soylent Green ads there. Yes. I get a feeling you're good ref. Oh yeah. Good reference makes all the difference. Not just in the fact of being useful for body mechanics, but just for inspiration. It's amazing what good reference can do, and kind of inspire out of your shots. Yeah, the clown in McDonald's was creepy, but at the same time, I don't know what it is, but there's something endearing about him. I don't know what it is, though. They made it work for them. Because I remember watching ads with him, and it just had, well, it was the Christmas commercials, holiday commercials for McDonald's, and they were always so magical. Amazing how they could make fast food seem like Disneyland almost. Let's see. The clown from It is much better. I haven't seen it yet. I really want to, though. I'm looking forward to it. My brother got to see it, and he really liked it. He hasn't told me anything about it yet, to avoid any spoilers, but I'm really looking forward to it. Now, one thing you'll notice is I'm getting a lot of gums in here, in this pose. I'm going to tweak that in just a little bit here. Right now, I'm just trying to get this initial mouth pose in. And I want to make it feel like that tongue is pushing against the lip here and pushing it outwards. Let's see. I wonder if anyone dared to go to McDonald's when it came out. This year or 1980? I have seen the 1980 it. It's been a while since I've seen it. And I remember liking it. I'm a big fan of Tim Curry and his acting style. But I haven't seen the new one yet. So now you can see I'm adjusting the teeth. Just trying to get a good silhouette of the teeth here. I still want to see a little gum in there, but not too much. I also need to push the depth on this here. That's going to help. Not too much. Let's see. I try to avoid clown horror movies. That's the wise choice. I want to pull this up a little bit more. Let's see. I'm just trying to find a good position for the tongue. If it's too far forward, it just kind of looks like he's sticking his tongue out. If it's too far back, it looks like he's just cleaning his teeth instead of licking his teeth. Now, I could have him licking his lip, too. Now, let's see how that looks. I think that's a little too much. Because there's so much tongue that has to come out there. Unless I push it this way. But what kind of feels creepier? Kind of like this, just because it's a little bit more subtle. But at the same time, he does just feel like he's cleaning his teeth. Let's see. Let's reset the tongue here and try a little something different. Oops. Don't want to reset that scale value. I try to avoid clowns altogether. Yeah, clowns are interesting. I just find it interesting how they are supposed to be kind of these icons of cheer, and yet a lot of people really fear them. And not just the, oh, it's funny to be afraid kind of fear, but the honest fear. And I just kind of find that odd. Oh, it's getting late. Oh, take care, Frost Lightyear. Hope you had a great time, and hopefully I'll see you around in another stream. And thank you so much for dropping by. It's always fun to have you in the streams there. Oh, and I will get to your question that you PM'd me. I'll get you a bunch of links for Viewport 2.0. Okay. So now that he's licking his lip there, I kind of need to push the mouth shape a little bit more so that it feels like his lips are going around the tongue over here instead. Let's see. And then also that his lip is being pushed by the tongue. What am I saying in this stream? What am I doing? Horrifying. The things you all make me do. It's awesome though. I don't think I ever would have done a face like this normally. Let's see. Hey, Ace Desu. Welcome. Sorry for the initial face that you're greeted to in the stream here. We're working on facial expressions, and the face we're kind of working on right now is a hungry, creepy face. Trying to get that to sell here. Let's see. I'll push that up a little bit. Let's see. I don't mind clowns too much. Living ventriloquist dummies. Now that's something I can't handle. Oh yeah, R.L. Stine. Oh, those. I've got a bunch of his books still, and they're for kids' books. They can be really creepy. And take care, Daniel Stewart. Thank you so much for dropping by. It was a pleasure having you in the stream. Let's see. Oh, I'm glad it was a bright spot for you. Thank you so much. Did I rig this? No, I didn't. This is a rig that is available from Animation Mentor. If you go to that school, you have access to this rig and a bunch of others. So I'm using this because a lot of the people here are from Animation Mentor. So it's kind of showing a lot of the things that you can do with these rigs for the students. Now, the things that I do show in here are things that you can do with any rig. It's just kind of general concepts that apply to any animation. The only thing that's going to be different is the controls slightly. Let's see, E.T. scared me more than clowns. I remember watching E.T. a long time ago, but I don't remember much of it, unfortunately. I was really young when I watched it, and I just don't remember all that much, which is kind of a shame because it's a cult classic for a lot of people. So what I'm doing now is I wanted to add a little bit of bottom teeth in here. Just make it a little creepier. Again, it's one of those things where when you're working on facial poses, you shouldn't be afraid of moving the teeth around. Now, you don't want the teeth to move so that you actually see them moving like that, because they are bone. They should be stuck in the jaw. But when you're working on a pose and you're going to be animating in this pose, you can move the teeth. You just want to make sure that they're hidden. Oh, King Arthur, take care. I'm glad you were able to drop by, and I'm glad it was fun for you. It was a pleasure having you in the stream. Let's see, a very nice British guy. That's an awesome username. I love it every time. How long am I streaming for tonight? Let's see. I'm not quite sure. We're about an hour and a half in right now. I might go another... Are we an hour and a half? Yeah. So we're about... No, wait, sorry. Not an hour and a half. We're about 2.5 hours in right now. I might go another half hour, maybe another hour. I kind of want to do another facial pose after this, just to kind of clear my mind of this horrifying face. Do something a little bit more pleasant. See, I'm a college student majoring in CPU science. Ooh, nice. Game development is so awesome, especially nowadays. There's so many awesome tools for it. When I first started, before I started learning animation, I was really into trying to learn game design and things like that. And at that time, there were just not a huge amount of resources. Like you could make some games, but it was all like the kind of without having big budget tools and stuff. There wasn't a lot you could do. But nowadays with Unity and Unreal Engine and all of that, there's so many tools out there for you. Right now, I'm learning my rigging. Oh, nice. Rigging is always fun. It's hard though. Rigging is one of those things that can be the most stressful, I find, just because there's so many technicalities that have to go in to making a rig work properly. But yeah, lighting, rendering, all of that is really good, especially if you're using Arnold for rendering. If you're using Maya, especially, I would recommend, if you haven't used it already, you probably have, to use Arnold for rendering. It's a great renderer to learn with, and it comes with Maya 2017 and 18. And what's really nice about it, it simulates actual lighting. Right now I'm actually using Arnold rendering. Yes, perfect. The nice thing with Arnold is that it simulates real lighting. So what that means is, as you're lighting with it, the values you input relate to actual real world lights. Instead of just being mathematical formulas and things like that. So it just kind of makes it a lot easier to work with, especially when you're starting out. Kind of want to lower this lip. Let's see. HDRI lighting, nice. Exposure and f-stops. Yeah, exactly. The temperature of lights, that was... when I first started learning rendering, I used Mental Ray. And it was a good renderer. But it's very tricky to get used to, especially when you're trying to match real-world lighting scenarios. So if you want to create a scene that matches with a plate... Hey, Ceci, thank you so much for following. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. When you're using Mental Ray for plate matching, it can be very tricky because it's very hard to know exactly how a light will match with the plate, and it takes a lot of practice to get it just right. Whereas Arnold, as long as you take measurements of the plate that you're using, so for example, the color, temperature of the light, or just are you using a halogen bulb versus a fluorescent and all of that stuff? Is it cool white or daylight white and that stuff? What's your f-stop on the camera? You can get really good results. So I think I've got a test here that I did a while back that I can just kind of show. I have to find it on my computer here. Where are you? Oh wait, I think it's in another folder. Is it? See. I'm gonna find it eventually. I always forget where I put that folder on my computer, and every time someone asks me about it, I always have to look for it. There you go. So, okay. So now I just need to find that folder. Here it is. So, this is a project I worked on a while back when I first started learning Arnold. Like I said before, I had used Mental Ray when I first started learning, and it took a while. So here was the plate that I had created. These are some Star Wars toys I had lying around, and I wanted to create a model to bring into the scene and make it look like it matched these objects in here. RenderMan also not beginner friendly. I've tried using RenderMan, but I could never get the plugin to work. So by default, it's not really user friendly, at least not from my experience. This was a while ago though. It is a great renderer, but especially if you're using newer versions of Maya, they come with Arnold. It's built in. You can just jump right into it. So that's why I typically recommend Arnold. It's just personal preference. But whatever style you want, go with it, or whatever you're comfortable with. So this was the plate that I was using. And which one's the final version? I think it's this one. So this was a model that I had created and then put onto the plate to try and get it to match. So you can see the base plate and then the model added onto it. See, I think that's the final one. Yeah. So with using Arnold, this was much easier than trying to do it with Mental Ray or something like that. So just to kind of show, here's the actual model itself. And the kind of default scene I was using to match it in. The UV map for it. The textures added to it. I really enjoyed working on this project. It was a lot of fun trying to get all these little details in the back and try to make it look like a toy, all scuffed up. But yeah, I really enjoyed working with Arnold on this project. Why did I have to come back to this face? Let's see. I need to make sure I write the new definition here. This is hungry, creepy. See, I think I can angle his head a little bit more. Like that. How long did that take me? It's hard to say because it was between work, so I would work on it just a little bit every week. I think it took me something like 6 weeks just working on it on weekends. And that includes modeling it from scratch, texturing it, lighting it, all like from start to finish. Here's the UV map for it. That was fun to lay out. I actually really enjoyed that. UV mapping is, a lot of people really hate it because it's a long process. I find it kind of, for lack of a better word, therapeutic. Once I can start getting the base set up, it's just a matter of laying things out, and I just put some nice music on, and it's nice and relaxing. It's just one of those projects I really liked working on. I should do it again. I was gonna model a TIE fighter to do something similar, but never got the time to get back to it. Maybe that's something I could do in one of these streams one day, is just go through and light something. And go through that whole process. That might be something fun to work on. There you go. Push that eye shape a little bit more. Okay. And I need to push this eyelid shape. It's not working quite right. There you go. There's a little change, but basically what I'm trying to do is push the line of the eye so that it looks like it's looking in a direction and not just even on both sides. When UVing, it's one of those things when you know exactly what you're going to do, so it's just time to, yeah, exactly. It's, you know what you're doing, it's just tedious. And some people, that tedium just gets to them and they can't handle it. Well, it's not that they can't handle it, but you get bored after a while. It's the same with animation. There reaches a point when you're animating and you're just animating control curves and you're adjusting just basic control curves, and it can get very tedious at one point. But me personally, I like that moment because it's just fun to fun to just relax and do something a little mindless, I guess you could say. It's just therapeutic for me, doing things like that. I'm trying to get a curve to the tongue here, just to make it a little creepier. Let's see. I think for now we can call this done. So, actually, I kind of want to push this. So, this is where I can push these controls a lot more. Really push this curve to the face. Now you can see that line of action through the face is much more exaggerated, a little cartoony at this point, because the jaw is distorted. We can really see that bend in the face. Typically when you're doing more subtle shots, you want it felt but not seen. Here we can actually see it, so it falls more into the cartoony realm. And actually, one thing I'm not liking is how the teeth are parallel to each other. So I'm just going to rotate that and try to get just a little bit more definition in those teeth there. Something like that, and then let's take the bottom teeth and angle them too. So now you can see how the teeth aren't parallel to each other, and it just adds a little bit more to it compared to when they were just perfectly level. Again, it's one of those things where you want to be careful when working with teeth like this, because it can really distort things. But if you can get it working, it really adds a lot. And I can even add some bend to the teeth too, to push that even more. And it's just a little bit. Oh, this you're rendering? Nice. Let's check that out. Ooh, that's awesome. Really nice. Look at that bigger. Oh yeah, great textures on there. Are you using bump maps on this as well? Or is that just the texture itself? Kind of feels like there's a little bit of bump mapping on the hood here, which is really nice. Yeah, I really love this, especially all the details. It's a lot of details, but it doesn't feel like it's getting lost, so it's not heavy and for lack of a better word, muddy. Okay, normal map, nice, even better. Normal maps are always a lot of fun to use, just because you can get all of that detail into your shot without having to. Well, normal maps and displacement maps, those are always great to use. But I love this, especially the design on the face here. Very, very nice. That's awesome. I like that. Especially, my favorite part is just the slight wrinkles in the hood here feel so nice, and then the way the mask stands out from the rest of the hood. It makes the face pop a little bit. Call of Duty, nice. I need to play that game again. I haven't played in ages. I need to play more games in general, actually. Let's see. I'm just pushing the top lip a little bit. It looked a little too flat. There you go. I don't want to put it too much, but something like that. There you go. We'll stick with that for now. So now we've got, let me save my scene. So we've got Hungry Creepy, Devastated, and then Overconfident. It was such a, going from this one to this one, I just forgot just how subtle he could have his face. Just a little bit more extreme. And then basic, bland, default. Emotionless or neutral. Nailed it, thank you. So let's see. I might have time to do one more. So if there's any facial expression that you guys would like to see, let me know, and we can jump onto it. And just kind of, let's see, seductive expression, maybe with puckered lips. Okay, that sounds fun. So let's select all the controls here and jump right into it. So copy pose 1 to frame 5. Let's make sure to write what we're doing. So this is going to be, oops. For some reason my grease pencil is not working and it's making it hard to write when it keeps disappearing. So we'll do seductive with puckered lips. His eye is crooked. There. Let's see. Why is that eye crooked? Let's see. For some reason that control is just a little, there you go. That's fine for now. So let's get started with this. Make sure everything's keyed. Oops. Make sure I'm on frame 5 too. That'll help. And let's try to get this face here. And I'm just doing a quick Google search for facial expressions to see if I can find something that just gives us a starting point. Reference is always a good thing. Even if you're just using little bits and pieces of it, it can really add to a shot. Now, one thing that you want to avoid is just copying it directly. Always try to keep into account the character that you have in your scene. And it'll really add a lot more. Let's see. So I would show what I'm searching for here, but as you can imagine, if you search seductive in Google, you don't know what things will appear. So I'm going to find the face first, then I'm going to show it. Don't need to get kicked off of Twitch. So let's see. Just get a few in here. Okay. There you go. So let's get started with this. So first I started with the main pose as we talked about before. So if he's gonna be kind of trying to be seductive, I might make the shoulders a little uneven, have them kind of come, oops, don't want to grab the mouth there. Move them back a little bit, kind of puff out that chest, bring the shoulders up, kind of square them so that he doesn't just feel super relaxed. Now the head pose is going to be kind of a hello pose. Now, when you're doing poses like this, oftentimes it can be nice to pose out the body a little bit more, not just move the head and shoulders. But for this, I just want to focus on just on the head and face. So, kind of that down and hello. Now I don't want to put it too far. I don't want to lose my silhouette here. So we'll start off with this. Now, eyebrow comes down. Eyebrow goes up. He's gonna smile, and I want that jaw to kind of. How is it gonna be? Hello. Actually, I think I'm gonna flip it the other way, just to get the line of action on the face more open towards the person. So this is one of those things. Again, I talked about this earlier, but if I want this character to flow to the next person so that the audience directs their eyes from this character to the next character, what I want is to get this kind of line of action on the face so that the eyebrows match into that, and then the mouth goes up there, or if he's smiling, or even if it's just puckered lips there. I want to push that line of action in there. It helps to just create a direction for the character to look. Let's see. Now he also has to be looking at something, so I'll move the eyes a little further away. Gonna be looking. I'm assuming he's gonna be taller, so kind of eyes slightly downwards. Off to the side here. Now I want to try playing with his iris size. Make him look a little less childlike by reducing the iris size. That way it just feels a little bit more relaxed, I guess. Okay. Or, if he's going to be puckering his lips, let's just like this. Roll those lips out. How do I want to do this? What I'm trying to think of is, do I want the lips to come out? How do I want to do this? Up. If I do that, would it be better to push the brow this way? Maybe. Because of the way the lips are going to be, what I'm trying to figure out is which brow should go up or down. Because I do want that line of action, ideally. But if the lips are going one specific way, I don't want to have the brows just mirroring them. So let's just kind of figure out what we're aiming for here. Plus I kind of want the mouth to, or the jaw, come out this way. Something like that. Or do I try to push it the other way? So this is just an exploration phase right now, where I'm just trying to figure out what do I want to do to make this read as much as I can. So let's see. Let's reset his lips here. Reset this. So, mouth. Ooh, that was creepy. Kind of want it this way, I think. Okay. If that's the case, let's stick with this. Now, one thing that's going to help is getting these eyelids down over top of the pupil here. That's going to help give him that kind of laid back look. So the smolder, if you watch Tangled. So I think we'll push the silhouette there a little bit more. Having that nose cover the eye adds a lot. So I want to kind of figure out the eyes first, because the eyes are going to really add a lot. So let's get that eyebrow up, like so. Bring this one down even more, I think. Again, it's always better to push things way more than you think they should be, and then tone it down compared to just pushing it a little bit here and there. that just tends to make things feel bland. Okay, so we've got that. Now, this is where a lot of people, when they first start posing out faces, I know I've talked about this control already, but they'll start posing out the eyes, and then they might just leave it here. They'll pose out the eyebrows and just leave the eyes default. But that doesn't feel right. The eyes kind of feel lifeless. And then when they're a little bit more comfortable, they'll start using these controls here to shape the eyelids. And already, just by doing that a little bit, I can get direction in the eyes. Get some life in here. And it doesn't take much. It's not like I'm having to make some very complex eye shapes. It's just a matter of making it feel like the eyeball is interacting with the face. And let's kind of bring this up a little bit so it doesn't look too open. Something like that. And again, kind of shape that. So a lot of people will do this once they're a little bit more comfortable. But what a lot of people don't do is they don't use this control here. And this control is what's going to get you from feeling lifeless to feeling like the face is connected. Because this control is the skin of the eyelid, above the eyelid technically. And if you don't get that right, it's just not going to look right. See, I kind of want to push this eye a little further from the nose here. More like that. And then push the eyelid shape to get that direction in there. Now, I should push this one a little bit more closed here. Just so I can have more contrast in the eyelids. It's always nice to have contrast so that they're not exactly the same. Okay, let's see. Push this eyelid again, just a little bit of shaping goes a long way. So, something like that. Skin under the eyelid here. If I have it too low, it kind of feels weird, so find a nice middle ground there. Something like that. So with that, let's play with some of the rest of the face here. Now, I'm actually not liking the brows too much here. They're not feeling right. That's feeling a little better. Trying to get them to feel a little bit more relaxed. Get him to feel like he's... Oh. Let's give him some pretty lashes as well. Let's see. Control. One. There you go. Just add some line to the eyes there. And let's see. Might open this eye just a little bit more. Make him feel a little bit more alert. Okay. So now the mouth. What I want to do is I need to roll these lips out and then kind of bring them together. Seal that corner there. Seal the corner. Give him a little bit of a smile. Let's see. Move his mouth up a little bit too. His neck is too straight, making it look weird. That's better. If the head angle and the neck don't really match, it can really feel weird. So watch out for that. Especially if you go into more extreme head positions, try to get that neck to be tied in there. Now I want to push these lips, but I can't push them too far. Yeah, that's too far. Let's see. Really try to push those lips off to the side of his face there. And this is just one of those things where don't be afraid of offsetting things in the face. Especially if you want to have a very specific line of action or something to the face. It can really help to just push that a little bit. I kind of think I need to lower this eyebrow a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe it's the angle of the face. Maybe a little like that. I need a smile on him though. Show that confidence. And let's add a little bit of a nasal fold there. Actually, no, not on that side. Okay. Let's start shaping that lip here. So the bottom lip I kind of want to keep simple. Then the top lip is going to be the puckered lip. Let's see. Can I roll it some more? Or no, that's not the roll I want. Actually, let me reduce that to nothing. Okay, that wasn't the facial expression I was expecting. Let's see. let's take this and just roll that ourselves. Okay. Puckers are always a hard thing to get just right. Just because they can... There's so many things that kind of have to interact together to get that lip to kind of feel just right, so that it doesn't feel like it's it doesn't feel like it's overly compressed, but also doesn't feel just weird. Like right now, a lot of his lip shapes are getting very odd. That's what I'm trying to fight against right now. I want to keep them simple. But not... Let's see. Reset that one. Reset that one. Okay. Reset this one. Resetting the mouth is always nice. Whenever you kind of get into a situation where it's not looking quite right, just reset the controls and then start over. It can be much easier than trying to fight what you already have. Let's see. I don't want to angle his head down a little bit more. Okay. I don't want to use this control. That's the opposite of what I want. Oops, that corner mouth is way too far in. Move it there. Take the whole mouth. Move it there. I'm trying to push the silhouette of his face right now. Trying to get it to flow. And angling his face so that I can get a little bit of a smile, but without having that corner of the mouth way too high. So now it's pucker. And this is the tough part. Because the pucker, when you go like that, a lot of it is the bottom lip. It's not the top lip. That gets that big roll to it. So let's take these and push them out. Roll them out. So I want to get that lip out in silhouette, basically. But without going too far. Let's see. Let's go into world mode. Or object mode. Let's see. I'm gonna bring them in a little bit. Bring that out slightly. Okay. So there's bottom lip. Now the top lip comes out. Bring it down. Ah, the horrors I've been creating today. Now, the top lip, when you pucker your lips, your top lip doesn't really roll all that much. It doesn't do that. It actually just kind of straightens out a little bit. So that's something I want to make sure I get in there. I don't want that feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? That his lips have just inflated because of an allergic reaction. I want to get that feeling of muscle contraction. Oh, thanks, Indy. Yeah, I love working with this model. This is the Jules rig from AM Animation Mentor. I'm actually looking forward to doing an animation test with him. I've done small tests with him in the past, but I've never done a proper, like, full animation test. So that's something I really want to do at some point. Let's push the corner of the mouth a little bit more closed here. Yeah, not too much. I don't want to cut the geometry into each other. So something like that, and make sure that the top lip overlaps the bottom lip there. So something like that. Let's take the corner of this mouth down a little bit. Give him a pucker, but without a smile, because that just looks weird. So a little bit more like that. Maybe let's play with the depth here. Try to get that a little bit more round, like that. Let's get this here. Basically what I'm trying to do is shape the lips and get a very precise shape to the mouth that you wouldn't normally be able to get. And this is one of those things that facial animation, a lot of times you can just get away with the basic controls without having to do a lot of extra work. But if you really want to get those extreme poses, you have to do that extra work. So for example, right now what I'm doing is, if you look at the top lip from the shot camera here, by pulling this out, I get a better silhouette. So even though I technically don't see these controls on this side, and they don't make a huge difference, by adjusting them, I can get a better effect to this pose here. So I'm trying to think of all the controls here. Let's see. Can I roll this in? Or actually, take the middle one. Okay. What I'm trying to do here, by rolling the top lip in, is to get this the dip in the top lip, as well as get a little bit more shape in the bottom here. And let's scale that up just a bit. Let's scale up this one as well, just slightly. Wonder if I can scale down the middle one. Now, one thing I would like to do is, let's see, make sure I don't grab any extra controls here. Is I would like to move the lips up just a little bit. Yeah, that's better already. Kind of give that pouty look. What am I animating? Because right, if I undo that, he's got that duck face look to it, which I'm not a fan of. Not for this pose here. I'm trying to envision boy band as I'm working on this. Let's see. X control is... Okay. That needs to come out ever so slightly. Let's take both of these. Shape it like that. Make sure I don't have anything selected in the mouth there. Let's see. What kind of animations are you into? I work right now. I work as a freelancer, so I work on all sorts of things. I haven't worked on a film or a game in a while. But right now I'm working, doing some animation tests and stuff for Animation Mentor, the online school for animation. Sorry. Sorry, I keep trying to focus what I'm doing on the lips, and I keep losing my train of thought as I talk. I need more practice on that. But I do a lot of animation tests for Animation Mentor, things like that at the moment. Let's see. But I haven't worked on any like super feature film things yet. Eventually I would love to do that. Mostly it's been smaller freelance projects. Let's see. But yeah, so I've worked on a little bit of a lot of stuff. So the main thing that I tend to aim towards is more feature film kind of TV work, less game stuff. I don't have as much experience in games. I would like to, though. Games is a really fun field. Who made this model again? This is Animation Mentor. So this is a school rig. So unfortunately you wouldn't be able to use this unless you went to the school. But I forget who actually made it. He's an awesome rigger. Oh, what was his name? I forget now. Because he does do other work just like on his own. And if I could just remember his name, I'd recommend you check him out because he does some amazing stuff. Well, as you can see, this rig is really cool looking, and there's a lot of controls, especially for the face. Oh, why can't I think of his name? Here, give me a second. I think I can look up his name. Actually, if I did a search here. Okay. So, just to kind of show, this is some of the concept work that went into Jules here. Let's see. And Jules is the reason he's named Jules is he's named after one of the Animation Mentor students who passed away in a tornado, unfortunately. Or sorry, no, it was pulmonary hypertension. Another student was the tornado thing, but he's a really awesome character. Now let's see, I'm trying to find who created him. Let's see. Okay. Where? I know there was somewhere in here that showed who it was. Sorry if I'm lost in this. I really want to find this because the guy who rigged this deserves the credit. But I just can't remember their name for some reason. I think I might have found it. It's Design Studio. Oops. There you go. So, Design Studio. Really awesome work. His stuff is just amazing. So, I'll give you the link here. Highly recommend checking out his work. But yeah, he's the one that designed this. I don't think he's the one that rigged it. I'd have to find that, but I need to get back to my face here. But yeah, really awesome rig. I love working with this whenever I get the chance. So let's see. I kind of want to push this more. Right now, it's getting there, but I'm not really feeling that smugness, for lack of a better word. I think his eyes need to be a little bit more hooded. Kind of just like he's so confident that he's not really looking at what he's doing. Let's see. Okay. More like that. But then I'll need to take this control and just bring it down ever so slightly. Let's take this eyebrow, raise it up a little bit. Just a little. I can also take these controls here and let's just push that line of action in the face here. He's looking a little more angry than I take that up here. Okay. I might just need to add a little bit of a smile more. And let's just add a little bit of nasofold right there. Just to add some detail. Use the tension in the eyebrows. Okay. Something like that. Let's see, maybe it's the head angle too. Too much. The big thing I'm trying to do is make sure that he actually looks like I'm going for a more seductive look. And right now he's feeling just kind of like curious. Maybe if I give him a wink. No, that looks creepy. The wink would have to be on this side. Let's see what happens if I change the eyebrows around. That's kind of working better. Nah. Kind of like the line of action more before. This brow's too low. That's better already. Let's open this eye just a little bit. Try not to get them too hooded. Banjo-Kazooie. That song always... I just love this song. Push his lips out just a little bit more. Hey, SV, you're right. Thank you so much for following. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay. There's something about the eyes that I'm just not getting the way I want them to be. They're just feeling... I guess lifeless would be the right word. I'm just not feeling that life in them for some reason. It just feels bland. Bleh. Why is that? Could be the shape of the eyelids here. That helps already. Could it be the angle of the eyes too? Doop-doop-doo. I'm gonna zero that out for now. I don't think it was helping my cause here. Let's see. Oh, nice, a fellow animator. That's awesome. Let's see. What is not working here? That eye is way off. Bring it down a little bit. Let's see. I'm just not feeling the eyes. Maybe it's squinting too much. It's always funny to see a facial expression like this to me, and then you turn the view around and suddenly they don't look quite as nice. They're all distorted and messed up. Just getting there. With expressions like this, one thing that helps is, or one thing that's tricky about it is how subtle some of the emotions can be. So just by changing the eyebrows on one pose, it can, even without changing anything else, it can go from not, how do I want to put it? So in this case, like I'm trying to go for a kind of seductive, just overly. He's not really seductive, but he's trying to be. But if I push it too far, just for the eyebrows, for example, here, suddenly he goes into doubt. Like he's going, sure, really? So it's trying to find that middle ground where I get the exact emotions I want. And sometimes that can be tricky. I think he needs just a little bit of a smile. The corner of his mouth here. I'm gonna curl that mouth corner up there. Like that. Let's rotate that mouth around just a little bit. That helps already. He doesn't look so sad. And I want to push that mouth out a little bit more. There you go. Let's see. I think we're getting there. At this point, it's just the little tweaks to polish this up. And let's play this. Okay, I think I just need to adjust. There you go. I think that does it. So now we've got seductive, not seductive, or seductive, not really. And let me save. Always save. So let's go through our facial expressions here. So we started with neutral. This was just our basic default pose that we started with. And then the goal of this exercise, hey, thank you so much for following, Dairon Guerra. I hope I did not pronounce that right. But thank you so much for following. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we started off with a neutral pose here. And basically the goal of my exercise today was I just wanted to practice doing some facial poses and kind of bounce ideas off of people in the chat and kind of get ideas of what they wanted to see and then just go with it. That way I kind of jumped into these facial expressions without planning or anything like that. Just and this is something I like to do once in a while just to kind of keep myself limber in terms of animation, is to do stuff that is random. So I'll get like a random something generator, pose generator, or idea generator online and just hit a button and then do the first thing that comes up. Even if it sounds difficult or I might not know how to do it, because one thing I do find is if I often just go, okay, I need to practice some face poses. Okay, take care, Indie Respawn. Thank you so much. I'm glad it was a great stream for you. Thank you so much for hanging out. So a lot of times I find that if I'm if I just pick a pose and go, okay, I want to do a happy face or a sad face or something like that, I limit myself to what I'm comfortable with. But by doing something like here in the stream where people told me what to do and then I tried to do it, I find that so much more fun in a way because I do things that I wouldn't normally think of. So just kind of recap what we've got here. This is just a neutral face that the character has by default. Then we went with overconfident. We got devastated. We got hungry, creepy. And then we've got seductive. So those are all the different faces we did today. Not too many, just 4 faces really. But hopefully it was helpful for anyone who's like wants to do facial animation here, just to see what goes into animating it. And if you're in, for example, Animation Mentor and you're going into the facial acting classes, hopefully this was helpful in just seeing what it takes to craft a facial pose. Yeah, I think with that, let's see. I've been streaming for about 3.5 hours here. I think I might call it here. But I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up. Thank you so much for giving your ideas and chatting so much. It was so much fun. So I think with that, unless there's any last minute questions before we call it here, I might just... Oh, I just noticed the chat is overlapping the last follower here thing right there at the bottom. I'll have to tweak that. But thank you so much for hanging out with me in the stream, and hopefully I'll see you in the next stream or sometime in the future. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye.